in today's lecture, we will talk about various cloud services and the platforms. So this figure here shows the cloud computing reference model along with various cloud service models, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So infrastructure as a service provides the users the capability to provision computing and storage resources. So these resources are provided to the users as virtual machine instances and virtual storage. Platform as a service simplifies the application development by providing development tools, application program interface, software libraries that can be used for developing a wide range of applications. And then finally, software as a service provides multi-tenant applications which are hosted in the cloud to users as service. So, cloud computing reference model includes infrastructure or a facility layer. Then it includes a hardware layer, a virtualization layer. It includes virtual machines, platform and middleware, service management layer, applications, and the security layer. So the bottommost layer is the infrastructure and facility layer. Now, this layer includes the physical infrastructure such as data center facilities, electrical and mechanical equipment, etc. So, this layer is basically contains the infrastructure of the cloud which the cloud provider uses to provide service to the users. The layer above the infrastructure layer is the hardware layer. So hardware layer includes the physical computers, network and storage hardware. On top of hardware layer is the virtualization layer. This is the layer of indirection, and we have discussed at length regarding virtualization in previous lectures. So basically it partitions the physical hardware resources into multiple virtual resources that enabling pooling of resources. So the next layer is the platform and middleware layer. It builds upon the IaaS layers below. That is, it is built upon these three layers. So infrastructure layer, hardware layer and virtualization layer together combinedly are called as infrastructure as a service layers. So platform and middleware layer, it provides a standardized stack of services such as a database service. An example of database service would be Amazon relational database, queuing service. Amazon's simple queuing service is an example of this kind of service. Now, application framework and runtime environment, a very popular application, Google App Engine is an example of this kind of environment. Then messaging service, monitoring service, analytics service, etc. We'll look at these in detail in coming lectures. Next layer, that is the layer above platform and management layer, is service management layer. It provides API, which is application program interface, for requesting, managing and monitoring the cloud resources. The topmost layer is the application layer. It includes software as service such as email, cloud storage application, productivity application, management portals, customers self-service portals, etc. So cloud reference model, basically it shows the various types of cloud services and the associated layers in the cloud reference model. Compute services. Compute services constitute the fundamental element of cloud computing systems. The fundamental service in this space is Amazon Elastic compute cloud, that is EC2, which delivers infrastructure as a service solution that has served a reference model for several offerings from other vendors in the same market segment. So Amazon is AWS, Amazon Web Service, is one of the biggest players in offering infrastructure as a service. So compute services provide dynamically scalable compute capacity in cloud. So they provide computing capacity, and this computing capacity is scalable, it's dynamically scalable. Compute resources can be provisioned on demand in form of virtual machines. Virtual machines can be created from standard images provided by the cloud service provider or custom images created by the user. So the virtual machine, either the user can decide to take a template which has a particular, so virtual machine will contain an operating system and would contain the applications. So either it can be a standard virtual machine which the cloud service provider is offering, or the user can also have a custom image of virtual machine created. Next, compute services can be accessed from web consoles of these services that provide graphical user interface for provisioning, managing, and monitoring these services. So for example, if a user wants to avail the Amazon's EC2 service, then the user simply needs to go to the website of Amazon EC2, create a login there, and it can the user can choose that what kind of service it wants, what kind of virtual machine with what configuration it wants, and it can simply after deciding the configuration, just by a click it can obtain that virtual machine. So these computing services can be accessed from the web service console. Moreover, they can be provisioned, managed, and monitored also through the same console. So cloud service providers also provide APIs for various programming languages that allows developers to access and manage the service programmatically. Some examples of cloud providers providing compute services are Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, that is Amazon EC2, Google Compute Engine, and Windows Azure Virtual Machine. Next, we look at Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud and the concepts associated with that in a little more detail. So Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud is a compute service, that is infrastructure as a service, which is provided by Amazon. The virtual computing environment is known as the instances. So pre-configured templates for the instances are known as Amazon machine images. So what do these Amazon machine images do? They package the bits that a user would need for the server. It includes the operating system and the additional software. So basically it is nothing but a template of a virtual machine. So whenever a user wants a virtual machine, it can simply either use that template or create a new one. So Amazon machine image are basically templates from which it is possible to create a virtual machine. And where are these? From where can these templates be obtained? These are basically stored in Amazon's simple storage service, Amazon S3, and they are identified by a unique identifier. So if that unique identifier is known, then the similar using that template, a similar virtual machine can be created and can be allocated to the user who has demanded that. So instances are created using AMI as template, which are specialized by selecting the number of cores, their computing power, and the installed memory. Various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity for the instances are known as instance types. So there are many. So instance, what does an instance type define? It will define that what is the CPU, what is the memory, what is the storage, and the networking capacity of that particular virtual machine. So let us look at some currently available instances of EC2. So currently available Amazon instances are general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing, and storage optimized. So Amazon EC2 provides a wide selection of instances type optimized to fit different use cases. So what does an instance type define? What does it comprise of? It comprises of varying combination of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity to give the flexibility to choose from appropriate mix of resources for your application. So when a user wants to have a virtual machine, in that virtual machine, the user has can choose that what should be the configuration of CPU, how much memory it wants, what should be the storage available to the user, and the networking capacity. And to do this, there are many instances which are predefined by Amazon. Let us look at these one by one. So general purpose instance. So general purpose instances provide a balance of compute, memory, and networking resources and can be used for a variety of diverse workloads. So if you look at this, there are many general purpose instances which are offered. Let us look at the first one, which is A1. So Amazon EC2 A1 instance delivers a significant cost saving and are ideally suited for scale out and ARM based workloads that are supported by extensive ARM ecosystem. So its features are it is custom built on Amazon Web Service Graviton processor with 64-bit ARM Neoverse cores. Then it supports enhanced networking with up to 10 Gbps of networking bandwidth. EBS is optimized by default. EBS is elastic block storage, and it is optimized by default. And it is powered by AWS Nitro system. So AWS Nitro system is a combination of dedicated hardware with a very lightweight hypervisor. So let us look at this. In this A1, it offers these variations. So let's look at the A1 medium instance. So in this virtual CPU, vCPU is virtual CPU. So it is one virtual CPU, 2 gigabyte of memory, storage is only elastic block storage is available, and networking performance up to 10 Gbps. So this is fixed. What is the variation? As this is increasing, the virtual CPU and the memory is increasing. So user can choose any one as per their requirement. Next is compute optimized instances. They are ideal for compute bound applications that benefit from high performance processors. So if the user has an application, wants to run an application which requires a lot of computation, and user wants to run it in a virtual machine, then these instances would be ideal to choose from. So again, it has these features, and we can look at this. It offers varying options for virtual CPU, memory, and even networking bandwidth. And here it has also elastic block storage bandwidth. Next is memory based optimization. So they are designed to deliver fast performance for the workload that process large data sets in memory. So if a user is dealing with big data, then and it wants to process that in the cloud, then any one of these kind of instances would be suitable. So user has options to choose from any one of these instances. So let us look at this high memory instance. So high memory instances are purpose built to run large in-memory database. So whenever user has a large, huge database and wants to process that, this kind of instance would be ideally suitable. So if you look at this, it is offering, it has logical processors, and then RAM, which goes on increasing, network performance in terms of Gbps, and dedicated EVS bandwidth. So in this, rest of the parameters are constant, but the RAM is increasing, and the user can opt for any one of these instances depending upon their need. So basically, this class of instance, memory optimized instance, would target applications that need to process huge workload and require large amount of memory. Then is accelerated computing. Accelerated computing instances use hardware accelerators or coprocessors to perform functions such as floating point number calculations, graphics processing, or data pattern matching. More efficiently than it is possible in software running on CPU. So if you look at this here, these instances basically have general purpose GPU instances. So the GPU is a graphical processing unit. So we can look at again have a look at these instances which it is providing. Finally, there is a storage optimized instance. So they're designed for workload that require high sequential read-write access to very large data set on local storage. They are optimized to deliver tens of thousands of low latency random input-output operations per second to the application. So basically, if you see that they would be ideally suited for high performance computing kind of applications. So these are the specifications for this kind of instances. So basically, user has a lot of options to choose from. It has these 5 broad classes which it is offering, Amazon, and in this also there are a lot of variations as we can see. Okay, so let's see. How to launch a EC2 instance. To launch a new instance, user can click on the launch instance button. It will open a wizard where the user can select the Amazon machine image or the instance which we just saw, with which they want to launch the instance. User can also create their own AMIs with custom applications, library, and data. And instances can be launched with a variety of operating systems. It possibly offers every operating system which is available to load in the virtual machine. So EC2 instances are priced hourly according to the category they belong to. Now, in the beginning of every hour of usage, the user will be charged the cost for the entire hour. So it is a it's pay per use go, but the billing model is per hour model. So in this lecture, we saw the cloud reference model, wherein we saw the various layers in cloud reference model. Um, then we saw what is a compute service, and we saw one example of compute service, which is Amazon EC2, which is an infrastructure as a service. There are other cloud providers which are providing compute services. For example, Google Compute Engine and Windows Azure virtual machines. But Amazon is the biggest player in providing infrastructure as a service. Google Compute Engine is the compute service provided by Google. It also basically it has a Google Compute Engine console like the Amazon provides, and it allows users to create and manages compute instances. And similarly, Windows Azure Virtual Machine is a compute service from Microsoft. In the next lecture, we'll continue with this topic, and we'll look at storage services. Thank you.